A big story coming in. A few months ago, you might remember a group of rights activists in this country went to town saying that any move to ban the hijab from classrooms would lead to hundreds, if not thousands, of Muslim women quitting school. This lobby said that a ban on the hijab in the classroom was part of a Hindutva design. Some of these activists whipped up such a frenzy, such a hysteria, that some parents forced their daughters to move court to get the Karnataka government to withdraw the order banning hijab from the classroom. Now, this was not an order, viewers, that was passed to ban the hijab outside of the classroom. It was only specific to the classroom. Because the Karnataka government said there can be no religious markers in the interests of secularism in a place of learning. The idea was to separate education from religion. But viewers, the protesting young women argued in court that the hijab was essential to Islam. It was a marker of their faith. The plea was overruled. The matter is now in the Supreme Court. More on that a little later. Luckily, viewers, luckily the High Court didn't agree with these petitioners. Had it agreed, then it would have been perhaps binding upon every Muslim woman to don the shroud in the classroom. But today, viewers, reports are emerging from Saudi Arabia, which is home really to the cradles of Islam, and a country with one of the most devout Muslim populations anywhere in the world. And what is this news? The news is that the Saudi government has banned the abaya from the classroom. The abaya is a body covering. Its donning is also said to draw its sanction from the scriptures. Now, viewers, going by the logic of the hijab lobby here in India, it could well be asked, will young girls in Saudi Arabia also drop out of school because their faith is under attack? Has the Saudi Arabian government also become part of some larger Hindutva conspiracy to wage a war on Islam? Is the Saudi government appeasing the RSS? Yes, viewers, these are, on the face of it, incredulous questions to be posing, but those are the kind of questions that were posed of the Karnataka government that passed exactly the same kind of order. The other question, has Saudi Arabia committed blasphemy by banning a garment that some deem essential to the practice of Islam? Is the Saudi government's decision to give supremacy to the uniform and keep religious markers out of an exam hall an act of apostasy, heresy, blasphemy? Viewers, legitimate questions. When the Karnataka challenged in the Supreme Court, I said I'll come back to that, and here I am. 2 months back, the two-judge bench of the Supreme Court delivered a split verdict. A larger bench is now expected to take up the clutch of pleas on the hijab ban in the classroom. But the legal war aside, the ecosystem has been blocking this uniformity as a violation of the right to choose. Listen in.
Earlier Iran and now...
See, India is different from Saudi. And India is completely different from all other countries. We have our constitution, we have our own norms, we have our own education policy, and that will go on with that matter. But here the matter comes here in India. It's already, the matter has been discussed in the highest level of the court, in the Supreme Court. Let us wait for the Supreme Court decision and we'll take appropriate decision on that.
Being a female, I strongly believe that it is our right, it is my choice what to wear, what not to wear. If a Muslim woman wants to wear hijab, I think there is no problem in it, right? Above all, you need to see whether my wearing hijab, whether her wearing hijab is causing problem to anyone. And above all, Pradeep, it is the Constitution of India which allows me to do my practice, right?
Well, there are other women, viewers, in this country that hail this step as an example of reform. Listen in, this is Zakia Soman on the Saudi government.
Earlier Iran and now even Saudi Arabia, There is something we can learn from them. The way women of Iran opposed the hijab, they did agitation against hijab. And now the news has arrived where abaya is banned in exam halls, even in Saudi Arabia. So these are theocratic nations. Unlike us, we are a secular democracy. So there is a lot our women can learn from these nations. Hijab is not mandatory in Islam. It is meant to control women. It is a regressive practice. And we should give up this insistence on wearing the hijab. We say we wear it by choice, but there's hardly a choice because our choice is so much conditioned by social circumstances, so much conditioned by social pressure.
It's hardly a choice because it is conditioned by social pressure. And that was the pressure that led young women viewers, young women, to basically be brainwashed by patriarchs and challenge the Karnataka government's decision to keep the hijab out of the classroom in the courts. Now in Saudi Arabia, viewers, who is going to ask? Who is standing up and asking whether this is an assault on Islam? There is no reason to. You can't possibly. You can't impute motives. But let's nonetheless open this debate up, viewers. I'm joined by some leading commentators, and let's get a perspective. And let me begin by posing my first question. And I want the first question to go out to today Dr. Lubna Kamal, Assistant Professor of the Jawaharlal Nehru Homeopathic Medical College. Doctor, when the Karnataka government promoted the uniform in the best secular tradition and banned hijab from the classroom, it was accused of imposing Hindutva. You will remember this. The matter was also argued in the same way in the courts. Today, Saudi Arabia, arguably perhaps the custodian of all Islamic values, has done exactly this, exactly what the Karnataka government did. So is the Saudi Arabian government also today appeasing the RSS and playing the Hindutva card? It's a very straightforward question, Doctor.
It's perfectly rational because wherever hijab needs to be removed, it's absolutely normal and it's absolutely rational to remove it. But no one should be forced either to don it or to remove it, the second thing. And the third thing is that, hello?
Yeah, go ahead, madam. We can hear you. I only asked you a simple question. You're not responding to the question. Like for like, ma'am. Apple for apple, not apple for tarbuza. Let's go with apple for apple. The Karnataka government does this, and the Karnataka government is called a champion of Hindutva. The Saudi government does it, and you're saying it's perfectly rational.
Sorry to say, they advocated complete ban on hijab, sir.
No, they did not,
And
madam.
This is restriction
Dr. Lubna,
in an examination hall.
no, one second. Are you conversant with the facts?
Yes,
because I won't continue the
Yes,
debate.
they did.
Maybe you need about 20 minutes to read up. You can join the debate in about 20 minutes. So, the Karnataka government, now for all viewers who may have forgotten, let me jog your memory back. In April, when the board exams for students of second pre-university college in Karnataka equivalent of class 12 started, the institutes turned away students who refused to remove their hijab only in the exam hall, not on campus, only in the exam hall. It's exactly the same. The Saudi government is saying you can wear it wherever you want to, but not in a classroom where an exam is being conducted. Now, Dr. Lubna, one you said was promoting Hindutva. Is the Saudi government also promoting Hindutva? Very straight question to you, madam. I'm not asking a complicated question here. It's very straight.
Do you know the number of girls that have dropped out of school?
So are they dropping
Just
out in
because of
Saudi
this
Arabia
hijab
also?
ban?
No, you're not answering my question. Do you think the Saudi government wants to do this to make girls drop out of school?
They have just restricted it to the examination hall.
So have we.
You are misleading.
So is he. The
misleading.
Classroom. Where are exams conducted if not in a classroom?
The girls were asked to stand. The girls was asked to stand outside the class, outside the school, outside the colleges.
Madam, I think you are deliberately twisting facts.
See,
I am reading to you from the order. And the order makes it very clear that it's only applicable to the classroom because the uniform must prevail. So does the Saudi education panel say this. It's exactly the same. Again, for the interests of the uniform prevailing, the principle is the same.
Why uniformity is restricted just to uniform?
But ask the Saudis this question. Why don't you ask the Saudis? They are probably. I think Govalkar की किताब वहाँ बहुत पढ़ रहे होंगे.
Which is absolutely okay.
Savarkar, last I checked, was not a Saudi, but maybe Govalkar's books have become.
You can continue in English.
I'm not, madam. This is very clear. Dr. Kamal, you're laughing at your own response because you know that I have called you out tonight. And you are trying your level best to obfuscate.
Absolutely fine.
Completely exposed. Apples to apples. Not apple to tarbuza.
Misleading. You are misleading.
How am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That is exactly what I mean.
Okay. How am I misleading? Can you explain to me?
So many girls, at least 17,000 girls had to drop out. Yes, that is what I've been trying to explain. They were not allowed to enter classrooms.
Yeah, because they were banned from wearing the hijab in the classroom. Similarly, if girls in Saudi Arabia wear the abaya and enter a classroom, they will not be allowed to take their exam.
What security threat were they posing?
Madam, it's the same thing. If you wear a abaya in Saudi Arabia...
This is different and you are mixing two absolutely different things.
Okay. I'm mixing two things.
You are mixing the two things.
Right.
Abaya restriction in an examination hall is absolutely okay.
Okay.
Whereas stopping the girls from coming to colleges, entering into the schools because of hijab.
Madam, you got it wrong. No one stopped the girls from coming into school. You could wear it on the campus. You could not go into a classroom.
No, tell me.
Okay, one second. I'm not wasting my time here. Dr. Kamal, please read. People are going to fact check you live on television. And if I open this to the normal viewer, they will quote chapter and verse. And I will quote to you, madam, I will bring that quote out of exactly the order and what it said. So Dr. Lubna Kamal, please do not lie on national TV. I will fact check you in about 30 seconds. Now, we do not place restrictions.
Yes.
Now, one second. This is what the Attorney General on oath told the Supreme Court, the bench. This is what he said. We do not place restrictions on wearing hijab outside school. There is no restriction even on school campus. The nature of restriction is only inside the classroom. Attorney General representing Karnataka in the Supreme Court. Is he in jail today, viewers? No, he's not. Because he told the absolute truth. Dr. Lubna Kamal lies on national TV, exposed. She is not going to take oath, viewers. That poor Attorney General had to take the oath.
Examination hall is different.
Oh, really? Is it on Mars?
You are mixing classroom.
Is in Saudi Arabia the examination?
Yes.
No. Is it a classroom or is it on Mars? Is it a special chamber in Mars? Madam, make sense tonight, please. Do not do this. You are letting down a large number of young women who want to be rid of this encumbrance. Okay, now let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan on this point. Dr. Ranganathan, when the Karnataka government promoted the uniform in the best secular tradition and banned the hijab from the classroom, it was accused of imposing Hindutva. Is the Saudi government kufra? It has decided to separate religion from learning in a classroom. Has it committed blasphemy? If you were to listen to Dr. Lubna Kamal, yes, it has. It is the most un-Islamic government by this account. Doctor.
Good evening, Rahul. Look, today is a very sad day. I condemn in the strongest possible terms this Islamophobic decision of Saudi Arabia to ban abaya from school exam halls. In fact, I was to lead a candlelight march from JNU to the Saudi embassy right now, but it had to be deferred at the last moment because despite frantic reminders and calls, none of my activist friends fighting against a hijab ban in Indian school exam halls agreed to join me. All those radio jockeys who are more out of tune than a braying Jenny, those kitty party journalists who file nails instead of reports, those Nobel Prize winners who advocate beheadings instead of weddings, all those Bollywood actresses surviving on money thrown at them when they dance in front of a barat, and all those unemployed strategists who use Photoshop to become well-rounded personalities. None of them agree to join me. C'est la vie. I hope now at least the converts realize they cannot be more Catholic than the Pope. Now, but to be serious, Rahul, this exposes the rampant hypocrisy and virtue signaling we witness every day in this country. That didn't even escape the honorable definition. Discipline is at the cost of freedom. Can a Jain student demand he come naked to school? Can NDA cadets say they will attend classes in pajamas and nighties? Can a Muslim woman swimmer claim that she must be allowed to take part in a competition, swimming competition, wearing a burqa? And the irony is that I myself, Rahul, you know this, from day one have believed that the hijab ban is untenable because the phrase essentiality in religion is nonsensical according to me. What is and what isn't essential has been defined by Allah himself, and Allah has explicitly ordered how women should dress. 24, 31, 33, 59. Ya ayuha al nabiyu kul liyaz wajika waba natika vanisa al muminina. No court can say Allah's commandment is not essential. And number two, the hijab ban is selective. There should be one rule and no duplicity in implementing it. So a school can ban hijab because it has a specific rule of a uniform, but it cannot at the same time allow unconcealed janehu, kada, cross, circumcised organ or turban. If a school allows for dress codes or identities of other religions, it has to allow for Islam. No duplicity. Rahul, just 20 seconds. Our chauthi fail activists are promoting oppressive dress code because they hate Modi's school uniform guideline. Modi hatred has transformed progressives into psychopaths. Now they say, pehle hijab, phir kitab. Let's hope Modi doesn't start promoting pranayam. Ye to saans lena band kar denge, Rahul.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Now, I want to read out once again because the doctor here, not Dr. Ranganathan, जिन्होंने थोड़ा हमारे को ऑक्सीजन दिया है, बट दोज जो हमारा ऑक्सीजन सक आउट कर रहे हैं, मैं उनसे रिफर करना चाहता हूँ. Discipline is one of the attributes which students learn in schools. Defiance to rules of school would in fact be antithesis of discipline which cannot be accepted from the students who are yet to attain adulthood. Therefore, they should grow in an atmosphere of brotherhood and fraternity and not in the environment of rebel or defiance. The argument that the school is insisting on surrendering or curtailing the right to wear a headscarf as a precondition to access the education is not tenable, as the right to education is available, but only condition is that the student should attend the classes in prescribed uniform. Classes in prescribed uniform. This is almost like the order that was passed by the Saudi government, viewers, today. And these words were spoken by Justice Hemant Gupta. Kamal. Yes, yes, of course. You can ask, doctor. Ask.
Yes, the good doctor. Very simple yes or no question, Dr. Lubna Kamal. Can a Muslim woman swimmer say that she will take part in a swimming competition wearing a burqa? Are you all right with that? Yes or no? Simple question.
That's irrational. That's absolutely irrational. And I would like to tell you there's a difference between an examination hall and a classroom.
Right.
Okay?
Okay. There is a difference, marked difference between the two. Classrooms in India, वहाँ पर सिर्फ blackboard पढ़ाते हैं, that's all. And when you go to an examination hall in India, you sit in a well or in a cave, preferably in Kedarnath. वहाँ signal भी नहीं पहुँचता phone का तो. So perhaps that's the reason why.
You have
I mean, this is absolute ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Swimmers,
look at the
swimmers के लिए code है. Swimmers के लिए code है, लेकिन students के लिए नहीं हो सकता.
Women के नहीं हो सकता. This is what I'm saying. This is absolute ludicrousness. viewers. Let me bring in the Venerable Tehseen Poonawalla, who's got a lot more sense. And I know that he will today argue for reform. And I only want to ask you, Saudi Arabia upholds the uniform. This is what they put out, quote unquote. Is that reform or is that blasphemy, Mr. Poonawalla? Simple question.
Good evening, Rahul. Thank you for having me on your show. If you want me to answer in one word, the answer is reform. If you want me to elaborate why Saudi Arabia is right and the Karnataka government is wrong, I would request you not to interrupt me. Otherwise, my point will not come across. So the choice is yours. If you do allow me to speak, I will take about less the time Anand Ranganath took, and I will be able to explain my point.
Please, go ahead. 30 seconds.
I need about a minute.
Take a minute.
Islam is not a uniform religion, as is regularly made out. So, for example, my mom, a practicing Muslim, has never in her life either worn the abaya or the hijab. Which comes to the next point. There is a difference between an abaya and a hijab. An abaya is a complete burqa-like garment which covers from head to toe, which should not be allowed. I have regularly said this in your show. The hijab that Dr. Lubna is arguing for, or the girls in Karnataka spoke about, the matching scarf, same color as the uniform. Yesterday, we saw the very erudite Mrs. Badal speak in Parliament. She had her hair covered with a dupatta. Many women wear a sari and cover their hair with a sari. A dupatta or a scarf or a hijab. It's exactly the same in the same color as a uniform. No covering the face, no covering any other part of the body, only to cover the head. There is a difference in the two things. That was not being allowed. Number 3, to Dr. Anand Ranganath's question, can a Muslim woman take part in a swimming costume in a burqa? No, but there is something called a bikini which she can wear, or she can wear a bikini. What radio jockeys who you are targeting are arguing for is choice of women. Women like my mom choose not to wear it.
Shocking.
It's their choice.
Shocking.
Women who want to wear it,
so
it's their choice.
Tehseen,
as for uniformity,
this is so heartbreaking. This is
please
so
allow
heartbreaking.
Let him finish. Let him finish his point. Doctor, let him finish his point. Yes.
As for the last point that I would like to make, I again repeat on the Karnataka issue. The Karnataka government was steeped in bigotry. These girls did not want to wear a burqa in class. They did not want their face covered. All they asked for is their hair to be covered while they are in class without their face, with a matching uniform, with a matching color scarf at the same uniform. The Honorable Court took a split view. We'll wait for what a 3-judge bench decides. But I think that is bigotry. I think Saudi is going in reforms, and the final choice should be that of the women, bikini or burqa.
I just want, very quickly, I just want to come in here for those who may not know what an abaya is. Widely worn by women in Saudi Arabia. It's a loose cloak worn over the dress to hide the figure and is accompanied by a scarf covering the hair, shoulders and neck, and often the mouth. Much like the burqa, common among Muslims in India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. This is a text. This is a text-driven... One second. Hair is also covered. Now, viewers, look. The point is not about that.
Because he mentioned me, Rahul, can I...
Yeah, okay, doctor, finish that. Finish. Yeah, respond to him, and then I want to open it up.
Yes, because Tehseen is not only a dear friend, I consider him as very forward-looking and progressive in the true sense, not a hypocrite. So it's really pained me what he said on 2 counts. Number 1, when he talks of choice, I as a Muslim woman, let us say, I don't want to wear burkini. I want to wear a proper burqa and then swim. How can you stop me when you're talking of choice? And number 2, that means there is a code. That means there is a code, right? There is a code for swimmers. There is a code for swimmers. There is a uniform for swimmers. If I want to wear a burqa and not a burkini, then I will not be allowed. Now, number 2, Tehseen, if tomorrow, when you are saying it is about a choice, you are talking of regressive dresses. You are talking of something that even Malala said. Wearing something was like being a jail and wearing a shuttlecock. Number 2. And finally, Tehseen, when you... No, 1 second, let me finish. When you're talking of a choice... No, 1 second, let me finish. Then you counter. Don't be rattled. Don't be rattled. Let me finish. If tomorrow... Now, please. Tehseen, if tomorrow there is a religious commandment, that women must wear iron balls and shackle their iron balls to their feet. Can you say that a woman will have a choice to wear those iron balls and shackle to go to school? Is this how oppressive you are?
Now, please, may I be allowed to respond?
Yes, please. Respond.
Very short, 20 seconds. Dr. Anand, in my personal opinion, I come from a house where my mother's never worn a burqa or even a hijab. She's gone to mosque wearing Western clothes. That's everywhere, and people are allowed to wear, women are allowed to wear whatever. That's point number one. Point number two, Dr. Anand, if something is regressive, it is regressive, and I'm not going to turn around and say that's not regressive. But I'll tell you what's worse. What's worse and what is more regressive is men deciding what women wear. Whether a woman wears a bikini, for example, Deepika Padukone in Patan, where the RSS said, please, now you cannot interrupt me.
Regressive. Yes or no?
You cannot interrupt me. I never broke your flow.
It's a simple question. Is burqa regressive?
No, you cannot. Why are you defending the RSS? Allow me to have my speech. Then you talk
Answer this question.
Okay, one second. Let me just step in here. This 1 second. This toing and froing. No, one second. Let me just step in. Let me bring order. 1 second. Tehseen bhai, 1 second. You see, I don't know what we are on. 1 second. We are coming right back. I don't want Tehseen to take us down as he does daily, every night, down some rabbit hole.
Because Anand interrupted me.
1 second. Tehseen Poonawalla, please stop it. Relax. Just 30 seconds. Okay, I'll lower your fade. I'm counting till 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, please, give me 30 seconds. Let me bring this debate back to the single point that we want to discuss. Viewers, in the Supreme Court, a number of people, whether we like it or not, argued that hijab is an essential religious practice. Wearing an hijab is part of an essential religious practice. Now we are talking, viewers, of a country, Saudi Arabia, where religion defines the state. There, viewers, the abaya is a customary garment that is worn because it is accordance with the religious practice. In Saudi Arabia, however, and Ratan Sharda, I want to bring you in here. In Saudi Arabia, they say, keep it out of the examination hall, which is a classroom. Do not wear it there, please. You have a uniform to wear there. Please wear the uniform. So uniform, which is very secular, viewers, discriminates against nobody, is the preferred garment. Similar order is passed here. Hijab not allowed in a classroom. Now you can sit for an exam in a classroom, or you could do PT in a classroom. It shouldn't matter. It's the same thing. It's a classroom. Specific environment. Why? Because the uniform needs to be given priority over every other vestment. Now, viewers, here in India, that is called a Hindutva proclamation. And in Saudi Arabia, some people are calling it reform. How does this work? Ratan Sharda, where is the problem here? I cannot understand this distinction that is being sought to be drawn.
Since Rahul, we are talking about the bigotry of Karnataka BJP government, and today there is a news on your talk show, on phone video with your channel, where Kerala government is going to Supreme Court saying that Sharia is in line with Constitution and we must follow Sharia in case of property rights, in case of every other civil right. How does it go with Constitution? And did any of the liberal seculars talk about it? Nobody has opened the mouth as far as I know. Those who opened the mouth, like Congress, they said that this is in line with Constitution and let courts decide. Bhai, ye sab kuch court ne decide karna hai, to aap kyun baithe hain wahan par? Let us handle the governance to court. Now coming to much more bigger issue. The much more bigger issue is, for example, the lady has been talking about fight for hijab, but actually the students who came on the campus were wearing burqa. Are we also so big idiots that we don't understand the difference between hijab and burqa? Why was this distinction on burqa? What is PFI doing there? Asking about burqa while talking of hijab? So let us not mix up issue. Now, much bigger, very much bigger issue is when Saudi Arabia had strict constraints on women, none of the so-called liberals, feminists ever rose to the occasion saying women need more power, they need liberation. When Saudi started giving some breathing space to women, again none of them spoke. Whether it's driving lessons or attending the football matches, or also when you talk about the exam hall. Why this kind of standard? Now, much larger question. In Nigeria, Boko Haram has been kidnapping girls and also doing a lot of atrocities when they want to study. Afghanistan has stopped study of the higher studies for the women. Has any liberal, has any orthodox Sharia following person, or has any of the feminists ever spoken about it? I dare say none. I have been raising this issue for years together. In Iran, when girls lost their lives, women lost their lives, men were hanged, men were killed, for supporting a right of choice, as Tehseen puts it. Did anybody stand for them? Not a single feminist in India, not a single person. When in case of triple talaq, this is essential part of Islam. World over, there are many Islamic countries which have banned triple talaq. Did anybody speak? No, they said we are different. So when Islam is a global ummah and everybody follows Sharia and
exactly.
and
it's
Hadith
not
and
as
Quran,
if
how they are different standards?
It's not as if
So
there are
my
different
question is,
there are
it is
different
not
versions.
Just dual standards. We have multiple standards.
Absolutely.
When it comes to rights of women, we have multiple standards. The kind of language used for
I think there is an agenda here, and I want to bring in. I want to bring in Mr. Hashmi on this point. He's an advocate and also Deshratan Nigam. I think I've completely understood where you're coming from, Mr. Shah. There are very important points being raised. Mr. Hashmi, uniformity in Saudi Arabia is reform. Uniformity in Karnataka is communal. How does this work?
Thank you so much for giving me your precious time. And that's the beauty of our country, India, because we govern by Constitution of India. We are please maintain decorum. It's my turn. Let me give my points.
I'll ask him that question. Ratanji, I'll ask him that question after. Yes, Mr. Hashmi, go ahead. Please tell me. Uniformity in Saudi Arabia is reform, sir. Uniformity in India is communal. How does this work?
Government of India does not follow uniformity adopted by Saudi Arabia government. Our Indian society.
Sir, आप सवाल नहीं समझ रहे हैं. You're not understanding. Yes. I'll translate it.
I got your question.
Wearing the uniform in Saudi Arabia is reform. Wearing the uniform in India is communal. How does that work, sir?
I don't want to argue on communalism.
No, you must, because that is what was said. No, hello. You can't change. No. Ihtisham Hashmi Saab.
Okay.
In the court, the communal angle was raised. No, 1 minute. Viewers, let me tell you this. Again, a gentleman, a lawyer at that is trying to confuse issues. Now, let me tell you, viewers, here it is. Advocate Dushyant Dave in the Supreme Court said, listen to this, viewers. It's completely about religion here. Outside authority can't say that wearing the hijab is not essential. Courts can't stop women from wearing it. Hijab is a mark of respect and dignity.
If you don't
to wear a hijab,
listen, if you don't want to listen to me, then
freedom of religion extends to practices. What is this practices? Hijab is what turbans are for the Sikhs. So, sir, please stick to the religious argument. This is about...
No, I don't want to participate in a religious argument. What nonsense you are talking about?
No, I'm asking you. You stick to the religious argument that has been made by Dushyant Dave in the Supreme Court. I'm asking you this question. If it is part of the essential practice of Islam, wearing the hijab or wearing the abaya, no, sir, that has been argued.
It's not.
Tehseen Poonawalla, you might not think it is, but it is argued in court. In the Supreme Court, this is what it is being said. No, 1 minute. No. One second.
My mom doesn't wear it.
Tehseen Poonawalla, be careful. I'm stating the facts. Was this not an argument made in court? Yes or no?
And it was a wrong argument.
Was it yes or no?
Article 25, it's Article 21.
I'm sorry. Was it or was it not? Tehseen Poonawalla, was it or was it not? See, viewers, we can't have a debate where people deliberately obfuscate and lie. So let me now get in another lawyer who will be perhaps much more truer to the facts. Deshratan Nigam, the argument, and you were there listening in to those various hearings. We were live on TV. Was the argument not made that the hijab cannot be removed from the classroom because it is an essential religious marker? Yes, no. Please tell. And I will read out the exact part also of that argument in just about 30 seconds. Mr. Nigam.
Rahul, in fact, the arguments that were raised in the Supreme Court were twofolds. One, it is a matter of choice and nobody can interfere in it. And secondly, it is an essential practice of Islam. Now, these two arguments are mutually destructive. If it's a matter of choice, that means you can wear and you cannot wear. Hence, it cannot be an essential mandatory practice, and these were mutually destructive arguments, and court actually caught that on.
Yes.
And secondly, the reforms in Saudi Arabia that are taking place are actually reforms, and in India it is considered Islamophobic. none of the people on your panel who are actually supporting their own communal agenda have called out Saudi Arabia as Islamophobic till now. The reforms started in Saudi Arabia from 2018 onwards, when Prince Mohammed bin Salman clearly said abaya is not a mandatory practice in public spaces, and they must only dress decently and respectfully. And thereafter further reforms have taken place, and they have made uniform mandatory in classrooms.
Absolutely.
And I am rather surprised why the lobbies in India, start jumping during the exam time only and start saying that it should be allowed to be worn during exam times. In Bihar, a similar issue had arisen where they said they were checking about the Bluetooth devices that are concealed, under the hijab. And I think many on your panels are getting confused. The abaya consists of a hijab and a long flowing dress. There are two essential parts of it. So both have been banned, including hijab and the long flowing dress that covers.
Mr. Nigam, you're absolutely right. And let me also just quote out. Let me also quote from the judgment. And on the question of essential practices, viewers, the issue in the present appeals is not the essential religious practice of the people following Sikh faith. Now, the turban was used. They said that if the turban is an essential part of the Sikh faith, so is the hijab. And therefore, there cannot be any discrimination exclusively on one faith. Now, the court ruled the interpretations by the believers of the faith about wearing of headscarf is the belief or faith of an individual. The religious belief cannot be carried to a secular school maintained out of state funds. It is open to the students to carry their faith in a school which permits them to wear hijab or any other mark, maybe tilak, which can be identified to a person holding a particular religious belief. But the state is within its jurisdiction to direct the apparent symbols of religious beliefs cannot be carried to school maintained by the state from the state funds. Thus, the practice of wearing hijab could be restricted by the state in terms of the government order, unquote. This is what was said, viewers. And when in India it is said, it is thought to be communal. It is even suggested that the courts have become communal. But when it happens in Saudi Arabia, the same thing, it is thought to be reform. Now you make up your minds, viewers, about who is misleading whom, who is trapping women here in the web of patriarchy, brainwashing them to accept something that women in Iran are willing to lose their lives to get rid of. Think about that, viewers. Think about that as we move on.